But the extreme murderers, psychopathic murderers, you will always have a certain consistent feature. The ears are never what we'll call normal. Unusual ears, which include yours. Yours is like a double loop.
Am I murder?
The personality will lead the change in the facial feature, not the other way around.
Have you guys ever wondered what your facial features say about you? The shape of your ears, nose, distance between your eyes and eyebrows, the size of your mouth, all these things correlate with your personality. Joining me today is Christian. He is a renowned body language expert and a face reader all the way from Singapore. He's mastered the art of analyzing faces to uncover hidden aspects of your personality. And he's here to give us a full breakdown of what each features in our face means. Does this mean that he can spot a narcissist or even a psychopath or a murderer? He also gave me a quick reading about my face and what it means about my personality, and I'll tell you guys at the end if I found it accurate or not. So grab your tea, popcorn, and snacks because this episode is filled with fascinating information that is backed by science. I just want to take this time to say it means the world if you guys are able to just hit the subscribe button. It allows me to know that you guys enjoy these so that I'm able to reach out to fascinating and amazing people out there like today's guest so that I can continue Grazy TV. So just by subscribing, commenting down below, and sharing the video with your friends means the world. I know I used to push out videos every week, but now I've been kind of concentrating on bringing more high quality videos, and I'm very active on my Instagram and TikTok, so please go there if you miss me. No further ado, let's talk to Christian.
Please introduce yourself. I know you're also a motivational speaker as well.
Yo, I'm Christian Chua from the tiny city of Singapore. I've been doing professional speaking for 30 years now, and my domain are mostly human behavior and human transformation. I'm also one of the top body language experts in Singapore, and that's how I branched into face reading. I know you have lots of questions on it, so yeah, let's get started.
So, wow, you do motivational speaking, you do face reading, you do body language. Which one is your favorite?
I think they're all under the big umbrella of human behavior change, and you want to define and you want to explain and understand why human beings behave in a certain way, and body language actually really helps. Well, the derogatory word would be profiling, but it's a good word actually. But society these days thinks that we are just you're racially profiling me or what. I think if you do it scientifically and you do it responsibly, it's a self-preservation skill.
I like that. I love that. So how long have you been doing face reading and what you've been doing?
For body language, it's almost 25 years. For face reading, recently about 5 years. 5 years of experience. And how I actually started on body language is because I was once I had a encounter with a salesperson, and I felt instantly, that feeling that this guy is not a good guy, but somehow we try not to judge people, and then I got scammed for to the amount of about $30,000, and then I was wondering, hey, all the signals were there, why didn't I catch it, and why wasn't I able to define it? So I went into body language and I said, okay, these are the signs that people are overcompensating in their laughter. They're overpromising. These are the alarm bells that will ring when you encounter such people.
Wow.
And then later on, I also realized that, hey, good people generally look like good people, and bad people generally look like bad people. I know it's very you're stereotyping it, and but generally, as we go into the conversation today and discussion today, I'll make sure I define it a bit more responsibly.
Funny question. If you were to walk into a cafe for a meeting and you've never met me, or let's say somebody else, would you be able to somewhat predict their personality since you're such an expert?
Definitely. To a fairly good extent, I will be able to categorize you whether you are a safe person to approach, whether you're going to be friendly or not. Because for face reading, it's more than the facial structure. When we combine body language, we also talk about co-reading skills. Co-reading skills is how you carry your hair, what clothes you wear, what color you wear. Are there any tattoos on you? What type of tattoos do you have? What bag do you carry? All these give us a clue about your personal choice, and it's a reflection of who you really are. And then there are also things called spot medical spot medical diagnosis, which means this is so scientific. The doctors can tell you if a person has bloodshot eyes, what does it mean, if they have sunken cheeks, if the teeth are jagged, and so on. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So when you combine all 6 to 7 factors together, we kind of know, hey, is this a friend or a foe? Is it a dangerous character or is it a friendly character?
Wow. Where does the history of face reading come from?
Okay, so face reading can go back really, really far. It's called physiognomy. But my area of physiognomy does not include fortune telling. Because the corporate won't buy that. You're trying to predict the future. My area of face reading generally comes from the science called epigenetics. The science is about 27 years old. And what it actually is, genetics, everybody know what genetics is. Epigenetics is a little bit more than genetics. That's what it means. And the short definition is, while your DNA remains the same, your blueprint remains the same, there's such a thing called gene expression. And what gene expression says is that although we came from a tiny expressionless cell or a cell that looks so homogeneous, it can form a ear, and it's a different type of ear. It could be a big ear, a small ear, and I noticed your ear, and it could form a different type of eyes. But what affects this structure is your character, your environment, your thinking, your principles, your values, and your food, things like that. So there's a huge study on this. It's scientific.
Wow. Okay. So I guess to go into that, could you run down the most major examples of what each features mean?
So for those viewers who are still not convinced, if you see a guy with six-pack, well-built, very buff, I ask you to bet your mother's inheritance whether he went to the gym or he has been sitting in the couch eating potato chips for the last 10 years. Most of you will bet that he went to the gym because it's a given. Okay, so it's as simple as that. For face reading, it's following that same idea. It's only that you need to go deeper into the science. Okay, so for people who are constantly angry or in a grief state, there's such a chemical that produces in your body that makes you age. That's why you say, why are you so weather beaten, or you look so worried, or you look so depressed? Because it really affects the face. So when a person is constantly happy or in a happy zone, it tends to express in better skin, better eyes, bigger eyes like yourself. Okay, so it shows positivity and things like that. So when you're talking about face reading, there are more than 150 points from the shape of the head. So yours is a more roundish type of head. It tends to be a more creative type. And if you see the male presidents like Trump, JFK, Xi Jinping, they all have square, boxy head. If you notice, they all have square, boxy head. These are the leadership type where they are very logical thinking. They need something systematic, rational. And Obama is one of those that are a more roundish head. So he's less predictable. He goes on Jimmy Fallon. He does a mic drop. He does rapping. So his character is a little bit more, creative. Okay, so in your case, your space is a more creative type, and that's why you're more in entertainment and media. So it starts off, and that's phonology, the study of the head shape and things like that, and the brains. And so the basic is the head feature. And while there are many other face reading school of thought, I prefer it to be backed up by science, and that's an explanation. And anything that I can't explain, maybe I'll just suspend that reading for a while. Okay. And in your case, and I'm giving you already a face reading without your permission, that when the eyebrows are high, your eyebrows are really high from your eyes, you're more friendly type, more curious. You would want, you are social, you're adaptive. So compared to like the Tom Cruise, where the eyebrows are always low, so he's more analytical, more clinical, more even suspicious even. Okay, so when I meet a person like you, we'll be chatting for a long time. When you meet a person with the lower eyebrow, they tend to cut away the fluff. They like to talk something more tangible, like science or finance, things like that. And that is what I use when I go for networking. I will know what type of subjects to bring up, because just by your facial features, I know you prefer to talk less of the fluff. For your face, I tend to see it's slightly longer than normal, and that's a sign of independence. you have matured. As you mature, some people, the face remains round, circular, but yours, I think I haven't seen your younger picture, but it tends to be a bit longer. That shows a lot of independence. Maybe your parents are not with you. You were educated overseas by yourself. You needed to rely on your own abilities, cooking, doing the visa, the immigration, everything's on your own. Okay, so the nose tends to be a bit longer, and the face tends to be longer. So in the same way, when I'm in Singapore, when I meet the Gen Zs, I say, oh, were you overseas? Did you study overseas? How about you? And how about you? And you get about 80% correct. And it's, how do you know?
Wow.
Yeah, it's just because of that. When you're in an environment where you can rely on anyone but yourself, certain chemicals comes out, certain hormones come out.
What do you think about plastic surgery? If I got plastic surgery, for example.
Okay, so most of the time, the plastic surgery help us to tell you who you already are, because in the same way you buy clothes to express your true character. You don't like to wear clothes that don't represent you. So in the same way, you do plastic surgery because that's the real face of me. And while everybody says, "Oh, I want to be better looking," how you pluck your eyebrows or how you tattoo your eyebrows also tell me what type of character you are. So let me take a very good example, Michael Jackson. If you have followed him since young, when he was a young kid, he looks like a typical young childlike African American kid, Motown and all those. But as when he became older, when he did the Off the Wall album and eventually the Thriller album, he became more mysterious. Right, then he started doing plastic surgery to make himself look tougher, more mysterious, squarer cheekbones, stronger nose ridge. He put on his glasses, and then you never saw his eyes again, because he wants to portray that kind of personality. So it actually helps us.
Wow, so you're saying that we can change our personality based as we age, and our facial features also change.
Yes, the personality will lead the change in the facial feature, not the other way around. So mostly you don't change your face to change your personality, unless in the case of an accident and then you're deformed and then you become weary. Okay, that's an extreme case. But what I'm trying to say is, let's say a person that's incarcerated and gone to prison. The picture on his first day compared to, let's say, 20 years time, because something happened in the prison. He was converted to become a religious person, a priest or a monk or a pastor. And then 20 years later, and there are many examples in Singapore, the pastor shows the day he was incarcerated in prison and his current picture, they look totally different. Because when the personality change, the head shape can change. Because our skull is not fused tightly yet. There are at least 3 moving parts, like the jaw can come up, and the sutras, which are the joining part of the skull, can still move until you're about 60 years old.
Wow.
Interesting. So what I'm saying is, if you look like you were when you are 16, you're basically the same grades, the same personality. But if your ideology changed, then your facial feature will show some changes.
This is so fascinating. Is there anything more like the thinner lips, bigger lips?
Yeah, indeed. So the thinner lips, the thinner the lips are, it says that the person needs to hide something, or he's skeptical about being vulnerable. So that doesn't mean the person is not social. It just means that I'm not going to talk about myself, or I'm not going to let you into my personal zone until I trust you. So a good example would be Robin Williams. On the day that he committed suicide, he practically had no more lips. His lips.
Really?
You notice that, yeah? So while we all thought, wow, he's the world's greatest comedian, he's so funny, he's so impressionable, and then suddenly he took his own life, because if he had any kind of worry, he just kept it to himself. So these are very good when I teach psychologists, and then they say, okay, this guy is going to be a bit tougher to open up. So based on face reading, and if you're equipped with body language, you already cut to the chase.
Wow. I watched your billionaire face reading, and I know there were some points like a bigger nose, like rounds. Sometimes a bridge can mean big money. So what is like the big money features?
Okay, so for the viewers who are listening to me for the first time, this is so basic, because by right, you're not supposed to read them individually. So, this guy's got this kind of nose. So I'm going to profile him like that. If you become an expert, then you will take a few more symptoms or clues before you make your deduction. But just for simplicity's sake, that's what I'm going to do. For those who want to learn more, can always go to my very small YouTube channel, Christian Chua Face Reading. There are many clips there to explain further. But the big nose, big nose and broad, wide nose is a person that's always have a heart to give. He's magnanimous. So especially if the person is a parent or a mother or a father, he's always thinking, how can I provide better for my children? The one that's good with money is supposed to be the one with the ball, like Warren Buffett. There's a slight ball on the nose, like a marble. But it's very hard to read because it can also be a creative person or someone that's good with money. So if it happens to be a creative person, then I want to see the ears and I want to see the round head too. See, so there are three things for me to confirm the read. It's just like a doctor. When you go and see a doctor, you say, "Hey, doctor, I have a headache." He doesn't say, "Oh, you have a brain tumor." That would be very irresponsible. He will ask you a few more questions, and if all the symptoms line up, then okay, I'll conclude that you have a brain tumor. So in the same way, we don't read body language nor face reading just based on one red flag or one clue.
I went to a Korean Eastern doctor, and she was saying that a lot of Koreans back in the days had a lot of square faces, which meant that we are good at eating spicy food. So sometimes, like, is that something kind of you've learned as well and could relate to?
I don't think I'm a monopoly of all information, so I'm always remain open to other people's information and school of thought. I haven't heard that one, but based on ancestral difference, the Japanese look different during pre-1940s. They're always stereotyped in American comics, and the Vietnamese also look different. Okay, so what actually happened is that Vietnam during the difficult period, people were weary, so it showed on their faces. Now with this economic boom and the tourism are all coming in, a lot of people are being very positive. And when you're positive, you send in happy chemicals into your body. So the girls look better, the guys look better. Same with the Koreans. You're on top of the world right now. Everything Korean, brand Korean. Oh, that's the in thing. Korean hairstylist, Korean everything. Korean products. You see? So there's a nationalistic feeling and everybody becomes positive. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
Okay. So when I was in Israel, very interestingly, like the Israeli women, like Gal Gadot and all those Wonder Woman, they have very strong nose ridge. And I tend to believe that because they are always surrounded by enemies, the parents will always tell them, hey, we're always surrounded by enemies. You got to be tough. Girls got to go to the military, kill or be killed. That kind of ideology that makes them have that kind of facial feature.
Wow. So even like when you were in your mom's womb, that kind of like shapes your DNA, you're saying.
Wow, you're going into a very deep science there. Yeah. Because I'm waiting for your question on psychic later on. I watched your interview with Christopher Robinson. That was interesting.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, I've seen a Korean face reader who says that he could fortune tell by doing face reading. What is your opinion on fortune reading and face reading?
So I did do a video on it. I do not know whether he has psychic powers because I do believe that some people do have psychic powers. But just based on face reading, I think it's a guesstimation. That means if I look like you're smart and I think you're very bright, I can always say, within 5 years time, you're going to be very rich. And I probably get it right. If you have the lazy feature, whatever, you're not doing exercise, you're sleeping late. I know you're not going to be as productive as the guy next door. So based on that, yeah. But if you're telling me that you can predict that on 26 September 2031, you'll be hit by a coconut when you're walking along Waikiki Beach. I think you have some supernatural powers. I don't think you can just tell it from your face. This, I believe we don't know everything about energy and how these people harness the energy. I personally have experienced one Singaporean local numerologist, and she just told everything about my family just by looking at my telephone number. So that's incredible. She asked me what's your telephone number. She wrote it down and said, okay, this is you, this is your wife, this is your first born behaves like that, your second born behaves like that, and your third born behaves like that. I look at her and I say, where the hell did you get that powers from? And she actually replied to me that I'm actually tapping on the Egyptian god of Cyrus. Okay,
Wow.
so I say, okay, that's my boundary. I don't go there.
But your phone numbers can change, and we all have different phone numbers. She's basing it off of your phone number right now.
Right, correct. I don't know. I can't explain that. I would like to
Wow.
explain the areas of my expertise, which is scientifically based. And that's why I can get corporate
Wow.
quotes. Yeah, because it's not
That's
fluff.
true.
It's like science. It's science, yeah.
So I asked Christian to pick a celebrity to do an example face reading.
His name is Danny
Yeah.
Trejo. He's a Hollywood actor with a bad boy look. He always plays the villain. Okay, so when I
Okay.
first saw Danny Trejo, his whole face is weather beaten. He has tattoos. He is the epitome of a gangster. Okay, so now play acting it, or does he has a history behind it? So based on my school of thought and my theory, he must have a very tough past. So I did a video on it. Yeah, he from young he was with the mob. He was a mafia. He's gone into the prison so many times. You know, he has murdered people. And then, yeah, of course, later on, he turned, he said, I'm going to use this weakness into a strength, and he became a Hollywood villain. Okay, so, but that's exactly what I'm trying to say, that the face is usually what it is. Okay, his face is all like scarred up and pimple created face. And the reason is this. If you come from a good family, like a typical Singapore family, you know, we are so peaceful, we are always aiming for success. So the more wealthy parents gives the best to the children. The nutrition for a start. Okay, the nutrition, the food that they give them makes their skin glow. Okay, so there are a few things that we see, that we know that you come from a well-to-do family or you're very, very healthy. The skin condition, your hair condition, and how bright your eyes is.
Like color,
Okay.
like the whites.
Yeah, like what yours is big, googly, and it's white. The contrast is very nice. You know, have you bought fish before? Fish from the market. You check the eyes. Clearer the eyes, the fresher the fish.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when you look at a person and say, "Oh, you look so ill or look so sick," what exactly are you diagnosing from? Are those things? You might have chipped split hairs with split ends, dry, wiry. The eyes looks droopy. It's yellow in color. The lips are not red. The reasons why ladies you put on lipstick, because we do look healthier and more attractive with red lips. People who smokes a lot, their lips turns gray. Very often they think it's from the tar that's staining the lips. No, it's internal, because when you smoke, you don't have enough oxygen. When you don't have enough oxygen, your skin turns blue. So it's all explained. Okay, so when people smoke a lot, their skin becomes darker. But when you're out there living in the mountains of Tibet and you're always having fresh air, then your skin becomes better color.
Has anybody asked you to work for the police?
Not directly, but I have public lessons that is always filled with all kinds of law enforcement. So from the Singapore police, the investigative department, lawyers, magistrates, from the courts, they attend, teachers, customs and immigrations.
Are you able to read all different type of races, or is that difficult?
So at an expert level, I know when to compensate. While generally, like body language, a smile is a smile in any country. Generally, face reading is applicable to all countries with some compensation. For the people of South Asia, the Indians, generally they have thicker eyebrows. So I will not read a guy with a thick eyebrow. I will read the Indian when he has a thin eyebrow. Just the opposite. So most Koreans have smaller eyes, and if you didn't go for eye surgery, and if you have bigger eyes, then I would like to say, hey, you're slightly different from your genetic makeup. So an interesting story I can tell you is when I went to Israel, most of the men have a very strong feature with very strong nose ridge. One particular guy in the crowd had a small Asian nose, low nose ridge and around. He said he's an Israeli. So when he came to talk to me, I said, hey, he got a different nose. They said, what does that mean? I said, you are not a conflict type of person. You rather focus on love and humanity and do something for society. You say, yeah, that's exactly right. Because everyone else is talking about military and defense. He wanted to spread more love. So at the expert level, I can do that. I have some courses on Udemy. So if you take the basic, you will learn what I just told you today. And as you go up the intermediate and at the expert level, I'll talk about how to compensate and explain certain things, including I have a very strong theory and evidence that we did not come from one lineage of Homo sapiens sapiens. There were interbreeding during the prehistoric time that gives us a variety of different types of makeup. That's why the Scandinavians are usually taller, the Asians are shorter, and so on. So it's not a pure evolved through the sun and food. No, there is there's already evidence that we have different levels of Neanderthal DNA in us.
Another interesting question was, are you able to spot psychopath, narcissists, and possibly murderers? Do these personality disorders come up on face?
So to burst the bubble, this skill is not able to do such pinpoint accuracy because murderers can look like murderers and don't look like murderers. Okay, so what we're able to spot is only if the feature is showing. Like for example, if you're immigration, you say, hey, let's spot the guy with the tattoo on the arm. It really depends. If he's wearing a long sleeve, no expert can ever spot that. But he's wearing a sleeveless, you can spot it. So face reading is something like this, okay? But the extreme murderers, you just put psychopathic murderers, you will always have a certain consistent feature. For those of you who are curious, just go onto Google and just say world's greatest murderers or world's greatest criminals. There are certain features. The ears are never what we'll call normal. The ears, okay? So if you have a nice curved ear, you come from a predictable family with good values. Your career path is going to be very predictable. Okay, anyone with unusual ears, which include yours is like a double loop. Can you see that?
Really?
Yeah.
Am I a murderer?
Okay. No, I'm going to explain that to you. A lot of artists have very unusual ears. So yours is bent backwards like that. Can you see? Are you familiar with Park Bo-gum?
Yes, Park Bo-gum. I love him.
See, look at his ears, and also look at Will Smith's ears. Okay. Many artists will have this kind of ear because they think outside the box.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so criminals is exactly the same. You think outside the box, but do you think in a good way or do you think in a bad way? That's why some people, Richard Branson was told by his parents, you're going to be a billionaire or you're going to go to jail. Whether you use your energy or your creativity for good or for bad. Okay, so that's the explanation behind it. And many of them may have even pointy ears like that, like an elf ear, very sharp. When you look from the front, it goes upwards. So this, I love the ears. Of all the few face readers in the world, I'm the one that love to look at the ears because it's fairly accurate, very accurate actually. And it tells me, hey, and then some of the people I see has a dink. That means very unusual. And then there's a dink come out and I say, okay, tell me what's that unusual thing that you've done in your life? And by the way, for the listeners, your right side of your face, it tells me about your professional side, and your left side of your face tells me about your personal side. Okay, so if you have your personal side is unusual, then I'll say, what type of hobbies do you like?
Oh.
Okay, if your professional side is unusual, what type of business have you ran? If both sides are unusual, then you're day in, day out, you're quite unpredictable. and fun, of course. You're asking me if we can spot a murderer. There are a few things like these: unusual eyebrows. Okay, small mouth. A lot of murderers have mouth like that because they're very careful and they're always watching their back, and they tend to do this.
Wow.
Okay, for the rest of you, like immediate, you're always smiling, so the mouth becomes bigger, like Julia Roberts, Angelina Jolie. You know. The lips are bigger and redder.
That is crazy. So does the left side of the face and right side of the face also mean something else?
Yeah, absolutely. It's two different things. So for your eyebrow, if you naturally have a double eyelid, it means that you're more affectionate. If you have a single eyelid or mono eyelid, you are more rational, more like the left brain, right brain type of person. So see Benjamin Netanyahu, he's a fantastic example where in his professional side, he's a single mono eyelids. So as a prime minister, he has to make rational decisions. And as a father and a husband, he's affectionate at home. So I was actually flown into Tel Aviv a few years ago, just before the election. And this whole group of CEOs wanted to know who to vote for. So they put the 4 candidates, Benny Gantz, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the other 2 candidates. And they asked me to tell them all about their character. And so I just went reading it. And one lady stood up and said, "Are you Israeli?" I said, "No, I'm from Singapore." She said, "Do you know them?" I said, "I don't." He said, "We know them, and you're spot on every single point."
That's crazy. So the next question was, how has face reading helped you or hurt you in your personal life?
I think it's helped me and it's helped a lot of people. Because number one, I keep saying, for those of you who are already angry because I'm talking about judging people and profiling people, I just want to let you know that this intuition, a long time ago, before even language was invented, how do you think the caveman or the animal survived? When they look at a plant, when they look at an animal, how do they know which is edible and which is not edible? They actually go a lot by their sensing. But as we became more educated, we stopped using our sensing, we use a lot of our logic. But your grandma have always said, "Hey, Grace, you know that guy that you brought back? I don't quite like him." Why, Grandma? I don't know. I just have this feeling. Because the less educated you are, the more you go with your censoring and your feeling. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. And in our frontal cortex, we already have that feeling. As much as we try not to judge people, sometimes when we see someone, we say, we don't quite like this guy. Or if we go to a dangerous part of a city and we say, hey, those are iffy guys are about to scam us. Where did that come from? It's actually body language undefined. You just didn't know how to define it. So now in a clinical way, in the workshop, we tell you, hey, look at this. It's consistent that they will behave in this certain way. Okay, so it's a self-preservation gift that God gave you or nature gave to you. And if you go to a holiday in a city and you sense that something's not right, trust your sensing because you're probably right. Just like in the first day when I got scammed by the guy who scammed me of $30,000, he had all the bells and alarms to tell me that don't trust this guy, but I still did because I was taught in school not to judge people. But in another way that I think is very helpful is spot medical diagnosis. And spot medical diagnosis, I didn't invent it. It's all on the medical journals that there are certain signs to tell you that you're having an impending heart attack. And one of them I want to let you know is on the ear. At the bottom of the loop, there will be a line, and it's called Dr. Frank line. When that happens, it means that 90% you have a coronary heart blockage. One of your arteries is blocked. Okay, so that's Western medicine. But if you combine it with Chinese traditional medicine, TCM, you lift up your tongue and there are 2 veins below it. If the vein is still pinkish and light purple, that's fine. But if it's dark distensation, like almost black, that is almost confirmed with this double signal that something is blocked. You know this because if I strangle you now, your face turned blue.
Yeah.
So if there's some blockage somewhere, it's going to show is whether it's a blue, black, or some blood clot somewhere. Okay, so with this, I have propagated quite a lot, and it's also on one of my YouTube videos that I want to share such things so that the line appears first, but the heart attack comes many years later.
Oh.
You see, so you can do a countermeasure to help people. So in that sense, face reading and body language definitely help people. What I don't do is I don't help everyone. I can't. If I see someone on the bus, I can't say, hey, you're dying or you're going to have a heart attack. We just can't.
So here, Christian gave me a little bit of a quick face reading.
I have natural
YouTube.
double. Yeah.
Oh, you have natural double. Very people person. You get along people well. People like you. You got lots of friends. Your ears are against the face in a way. So it's a mixture of being very creative, thinking out of the box, but still very careful on being compliant. You will know your limit. Let's not break the rules. Let's not do like what some crazy bloggers do, going around insulting people's country and people's career. That's probably not you. You will do it within the limits.
Interesting.
Your small nose tells me that perhaps when you were younger, your parents always warned you about being frugal, about money. I'm not sure if that's true. Maybe they didn't have too much money to throw, so say, hey girl, big money, but be careful about it, be prudent about it. Is that true? Yeah. Okay.
Well, the nose is the only thing that I got revision, but I had to desurgerize. So I'm thinking, did that change my personality, maybe?
And I always do this thing called the first countenance, because it's like that snapshot, the first impression. A lot of face readers and body language experts just don't do that. So the first impression is that a good guy, you good guy, approachable, friendly, great set of teeth, maybe braces or whatever, it doesn't matter. Because people who continue to leave their teeth jagged also gives you an impression that maybe I didn't bother about my outlook. I don't care what people think about me. If you don't care what people think about you, in a way, that's a little bit inconsiderate. So there are a lot of videos out there where millionaires dress up like homeless and they go into a restaurant and then they say, "Hey, you're judging me." Yeah, they're supposed to, because they're supposed to protect the other customers. If this is a high-end establishment, then we expect you to respect the other people too. That's why we dress up for dinner. It's not just for me, it's for the other patrons that bother to dress up for dinner. Okay, so yeah, I hope people don't get angry for me just to bring some clarity to that. Because if you dress like a homeless, you will be judged by a homeless, because generally most of them that dress like that are homeless. So you know, you can say, "Oh, this is the exception. That's Elon Musk in homeless clothes." Yeah, but you can still be kind to homeless. That's a different thing. But to accept a homeless into a high-end restaurant, maybe that's not appropriate. Even when I'm not dressed up and I'm well-to-do, I wouldn't enter a high-end restaurant out of respect.
You mentioned you want to talk about psychics. Is there anything you want to touch up?
Oh yeah, it was interesting video on Christopher Robinson. Christopher. Yeah. So when we talk about psychic, it just goes into another realm because I believe that thought has waves. It's not even belief, it's proven that thought has waves. Since the time of the Japanese scientist Masamoto or something like that, he brought a group of people and they think positive thoughts, and then they changed the snowflake or the water molecules. Right now, they've gone way further by putting probes that's not touching your head. And when you think differently, they will have readings that emits different types of wavelength. That already says that thought has waves. The question is, where's the receiver of these thoughts in your body? Your eyes are the receiver of light. Your ears are the receiver of sound. And both we can't see the waves. So what makes you think you can't receive thought waves? So the popular belief is that the pineal gland is the receiver that has seldom been activated. So if you believe that, and even your skin is an organ, the sensory, then if those people who spend time to develop how to receive information, then they can know your thoughts. How is that not possible when you already know animal has instinct? Animal can read your thoughts. Okay, so let me give you a great example. I love dogs, but I don't particularly like Pomeranians. So one guy came to my house one day and he brought 3 Poms. My kids went and played with the Poms, and they were the dogs were very receptive to them. I came down, I saw the Poms, I put a fake smile and I said, "Hey, doggy!" In my mind, it's like, "I hate you," and they came and one of them bit me.
Wow.
Okay, so that was like so conclusive that they knew of my intention. So whether it's the vibes or the thoughts, I think the dogs and animals can always pick that up. Can you imagine? And this is scientifically proven. You know, it has data like a new giraffe calf born on the first day can know that the lion is a predator. He didn't go to giraffe school. The mother didn't say anything, but when he saw the giraffe, instinctively, the mother runs, he runs. Okay, so when you talk about psychic, and I'm not an expert in it, but it's so interesting. It's probably ongoing discovery of psychic powers.
Is there anything you want to touch up or want to say?
I want to say to the viewers, the way to wisdom is openness. And openness is entertaining an opposing point of view without the need to accept it. But don't block it even before you listen to an argument. Because when the new argument is able to shift you, that's where you actually grow. And the most open people are actually scientists. Neil deGrasse Tyson was once asked, do you believe in God? He said, firstly, I don't, I'm an atheist, but 50% of my colleagues believe in the spirituality. That means scientists. For me, I currently don't believe, but if you give me new evidence to prove that there is a God, I'm willing to change my stand. And that's why they're also wise.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I really want to let everyone know, I know I've checked out your website, your YouTube channel. It is fascinating, and everybody has to go and really see what you have to offer.
Thank you. Thank you for this privilege.
That was one of the most fascinating episodes that I've ever done on Grazy TV. Thank you so much to Christian for joining. If you guys are interested more and want to get a face reading by Christian, you guys can go to his website, his YouTube channel. He has a lot of educational content on this channel, so I will leave all that in the description box below. Now I'm actually interested to get a full face reading myself, so maybe I'll do that. Now, I never met Christian before this or talked to him. He doesn't know my birthday or my life story. So he only had maybe like few videos he watched on my channel to go about, but I do have to say it was pretty accurate, especially when he told me that I like to think outside of the box. Well, you think outside the box, but you will do it within the memes of the law. I won't go overboard to be crazy. That is so me. Now, the first time that I came across face reading was in a Korean reality show, and it was these two celebrities getting a face reading by a face reader in Korea. The interesting thing about this guy, if I can find the video, I'll try to insert it here, it's that he kind of gave almost like a past reading, like of how you're gonna grow up based on your ear shape or nose shape. He was able to guess Hitar from Super Junior, saying that, oh, you have a lot of women in your life and you're gonna get a lot of women choices in your life based on his face. And it was just so interesting. I do think there is definitely something to face reading because I go to my Korean Eastern doctor, and if you go to an Eastern medicine doctor, they will tell you, and they even have this chart. I even took a photo when I went. We are actually born with different elements according to our body type. The elements also correlate with what kind of face shape you have, and she always told me for that your face shape correlates to your organ size as well and your personality. She would tell me about this kind of face shape, which means that they are more of an earth element, so they're very grounded, they're very strong, they have strong teeth and bones. They also might have a stronger heart. That's why one of the most famous face shapes that correlate to this is Kang Ho-dong from Korea. He was a well-known wrestler back in his early days. People with a round shape like this, you might be good with money. She also told me Koreans used to have a lot of these kind of square faces back in the days before like us modern like millennials and Gen Zs kind of came about. And that's because actually Koreans used to eat a lot of spicy food and were better with spicy food back then compared to now, which also correlates to what kind of food you eat determines also the face shape as well. Or maybe it's the other way around. Which came first? I don't know. So you tell me, what kind of face shape do you think you guys have? Or do you have a mix? Because actually a lot of people are a little bit mix of each of them. And when you go to these Eastern doctors, they always tell you about what kind of elements you are. So technically we are born with all different of these elements, but we are stronger and dominant in one compared to the other. For example, I might be dominant in fire and water elements according to my body. So she even gave me a sheet of what kind of foods that I don't have to eat because my body naturally makes that and processes that very well, compared to, let's say, I lack in the metal and earth department. So she suggested that you should fill those with a specific type of food so that I can have a balanced health. Maybe I can do another video on Eastern medicine in its own, but I want to thank every one of you guys for watching, and especially Mr. Christian. Once again, you guys can check out all his links and socials down below and get a reading or coaching from him. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys in my next video.